We deal with criminals by way of a form of violence known as punishment, whether we murder them by electrocuting them or using deadly drugs, or whether we incarcerate them, forcing them to associate with violent people for years on end. We tend to avoid addressing the root cause of why any crime is committed, and not surprisingly, exacerbate and perpetuate the entire problem. We have religious zealots like these, claiming they are speaking a universal truth from an all-powerful, all-knowing and righteous, yet strangely homophobic deity. This form of religious extremism promotes hate and division amongst human beings and demonstrates part of the worst results of what subjective religious doctrine can really do. We suffer a fear of technology for what it could do to us and what it can do better than us. Mostly we have Hollywood to thank for creating the fallacy that artificial intelligence will be inherently malevolent. And as such, we feel fearful of technology on the whole. This is also part of the exponential growth and development of technology, which threatens the cohesion of the human labour force, leaving us obsolete as workers. We as a culture have willfully abandoned, or maybe never truly discovered, the methods of proper and altruistic communication. We spend our lives enforcing our conveyances upon one another, instead of actually sharing one another information with one another. This, in combination with us immaturely bringing our emotions and ego into the matter, results in logical fallacies and intellectually dishonest behaviour. No wonder we feel like we can't get along. Similar to our ineffective outgoing communications, we also suffer an inefficiency of received communications. For example, we choose to be offended whenever we encounter information that calls into question what we hold dear. Now, this serves a multiple purpose, from derailing the topic at hand to shooting the messenger, as it were. This is because we've been groomed into holding static information and, in fact, incorporating it into our very identities. And when proven wrong, we take offence. We have a skewed and illogical stance in our values known as the entitlement of opinion. Granted, Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or the ICCPR, states that, and I quote, "Everyone shall have the right to hold opinions without interference," end quote. However, that does not take into consideration how opinions change over time due to the receipt of transforming information. This has resulted in a red herring argument, so to speak, that people seem to feel entitled to any opinion and as such should be respected, followed and viewed as right. We have made both sex and nudity a taboo. We demand that sexual behaviour and nudity should be shielded from the glare of children out of fear that we would be corrupting or destroying their innocence. We delay for as long as possible informing our children exactly how procreation happens, and even then we fill the explanations with euphemisms and cowardly fairy tales. And with this formula, we still wonder why we have such problems such as sex crime and the development of what we call perverted behaviour. We have generated this strange value in our culture around apathy being considered as cool. Very much like in school, the popular kids picked on the smart kids. Apparently it's not cool to care about things that are going on in the world. It shows up how everyone else doesn't care as much or can't understand as much. So let's make it a bad thing to care and a good and in fact cool thing not to care, right? And we wonder why we still haven't solved the problems in society. Tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, let's get you involved in this, okay? Let's delve into a few of these in more detail and see what we can find. Let's start with what is known as techno-fear. When you see automation making human labour redundant, should you feel negatively about this? Who thinks so? By a show of hands. No one? Okay, and who would say no to that question? That's good. A reaction of negativity, for example, is understandable, even condonable to a point, because that machine has just taken your job and hence your purchasing power, which means your ability to monetarily provide for yourself and your family. However, is that really the case? Is it empirical that machine automation ruins our lives? Or is it something else? Is it maybe only because we have created a system fueled by human labour and hence the perpetual circulation of currency? Have we made the mistake of allowing technology to evolve to the point of eradicating the need for human labour and hence the end of our lives as we know it? Or have we made the mistake of creating a system that is now made obsolete by our application of technology? You see, when we automate, we raise efficiency, productivity, speed, and accuracy. Isn't that what we're supposed to be heading towards anyway? Isn't that what we developed technology for in the first place? So it follows that we have to let go of certain things in order to move on to that next level. So we realise, as a result, that capitalism is a dead weight to our evolution. It has to go. I'm sorry. It's holding us back. Here's the next question. Is the use of politics and hence politicians the optimal method for solving problems? Who thinks so? I definitely know I'm in the right place. So I would say the vast majority of you don't think so? Yeah? Okay, well, we should think about a politician's true abilities. Are they capable of truly solving problems at their root? Or is their only weapon the patchwork method? Let's take an example of, say, an ant infestation in your kitchen. Should we spend the rest of our lives utilising the patchwork solution of stomping on them and setting traps or laws? Or should we utilise the technical solution of removing the spoiled food behind your fridge, which is causing the infestation in the first place? Now, you see, is a politician capable of providing that technical solution per se? No, of course not. They come from financial and legal backgrounds. They have no technical knowledge. Politics is a short-term thing. No politician has the incentive, let alone the opportunity, to care about how things will be in, say, 6 years' time, because there is no guarantee that they will be in a position of power by that time to have to be responsible for it. Okay, here's one to wrap your brains around. Should we be entitled to our opinions? Who thinks so? Yeah? Okay, and who doesn't think so? Up against a tough crowd. Okay. Well, tell you what, how about if I were to cite the opinion that you should all die? Should I be entitled to that opinion to the point of demanding that it be followed and respected? Hence the implication of entitlement? Of course not. So why should any other opinion have that same authority to be demanded to be followed? Now bear with me. I can already sense that some of your hairs might be going up about this. Just bear with me. I fully understand that our opinions are closely tied with our sense of freedom and democracy. And one thing I should stress, opinions are one thing, even having them and expressing them, fine. But entitling people to them is dangerous. And another thing I should stress, I'm using entitled as a synonym for enforceable. Now, it's the same reason why healthcare workers are forbidden from stating opinions on a patient's care plan. It's a misrepresentation of the facts, because opinion is subjective, fluid, and dependent on a person's life experience, bias, beliefs, and perception. If you give people the right to their opinion, you're giving them a right to be wrong and reject facts. Now, I wouldn't feel safe in a world where everyone had a right to an opinion.